Hi, and welcome to another episode of the ARC podcast. I am Lindsay Althouse, the Northwest Regional Director for the ARC, and I am so excited to have Claire Manning on today from the ARC National Office. Claire serves as the Senior Executive Officer of Advocacy and Mobilization, where she brings nearly 20 years of experience in grassroots organizing, campaigns, and issue advocacy. In her role at the ARC, she partners with chapters and advocates across the country to advance key issues for people with disabilities and their families, including policy initiatives and civic engagement. How are you doing today, Claire?
I am coming to you live from my freezing basement in Washington, D.C., but I'm so happy to be here, my second time on this podcast and my second time on any podcast.
Oh, wow. We're the only podcast you do. I feel like
Yeah,
super,
this is thrilling.
super lucky and excited to have you on. Um, so just some of the things that you do, can you run through that for me?
Sure. So, first of all, I feel like I have one of the best jobs in the world. I get to do grassroots advocacy from Washington, D.C. And so a huge part of that is I get to work all day, every day with chapters of the ARC all across the country with people with disabilities, with their family members. My team leads all of our digital advocacy work. So we'll talk about kind of what that means in a
Yeah.
second here. We also do all of our storytelling work. So
hmm
um, working again with people with disabilities and their families to share their perspective about a particular policy issue. And then we work in different ways to get that out into the world, whether it's working with our media team or on social media or in front of Congress, at rallies.
hmm
And then kind of the third bucket of work that we do is putting together tools and resources for chapters and advocates to get engaged. We want to make it as easy, which is what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
But we want to make it as easy as possible for people to get involved in advocacy work and have the kind of the skills and the resources that they need to be able to do that.
hmm Yeah. One of the things that I love about the ARC is that you can sign up for their texts and you get action alerts. And the action alerts are so easy to use. Can you tell people about those?
Yes. So that is our goal, right? Like
Mhm.
easy breezy. People are busy. People have
Yes.
jobs. People are in school. People don't have time to like synthesize all of this information. So we try to do that for you. So what are our action alerts? Our action alerts are links. And Lindsay, if I send you links, can we put that like in like the
Yeah, yeah,
notes for okay,
definitely.
great, great,
Yes.
great.
We will
So
put all the links in the
dear listener, you will have
description.
access to all of these links.
Yes.
So I won't go through the URLs right now. But it's a link where you can easily pick a different way to contact your member of Congress. So if you want to write a letter to them, we will have all you have to do is type in your address, where you live, and it will automatically pull up your legislators. Right? And like once
hmm
based on that, it knows who your representatives are, it knows who your members of Congress or your senators are. And you can choose like, do you want to send a tweet to them? And what I like about tweeting is it's very public. Some people might
hmm
think like, oh, like why am I like doing social media with my member of Congress? But it's actually like a very their staff look at
Yeah.
it, they look at it. So talking about the issues we care about on social media is a really good tactic.
hmm
You can call their office. It connects you automatically. And of course, phone calls are probably the number one way,
hmm
right? People
They
ask me
are.
all the time, like, what's the most important thing to do? I would say meeting with people in person is the most effective. Not everybody can
hmm
do that. Calls are second most effective. I would say emails third, fourth, the tweets. But the best thing to do is as many of those as you can.
Yes. Bombard them is
Bombard
how
them.
that's
Yeah.
how I feel about it. Like you just keep bombarding
They
or I
work for
always
you.
yeah. I always like set an alert to like follow up, follow up,
Yeah.
follow up.
I think it's also, some people kind of people ask me a lot, like, does
hmm
this matter? Like, what's going to happen? And I think it's really important to understand what members of Congress offices do with that stuff on the back end. So what a typical office, obviously every office has their own protocol, but
Mm-hmm.
generally speaking, what they do is the people who are receiving those messages or receiving those phone calls will tally up the issues and say like, hey, at the end of the week, give their member of Congress and the leadership in their office a report that's like, hey, this week we got 92 calls from constituents on Medicaid or special education or whatever the issue might be. And what that does is it helps kind of kick that issue up to the
Yeah.
forefront for that member and say, like, hey, we're here. We need to be responsive to people. We're hearing about this.
Mm-hmm. Yes, which is a great way to start making sure that your voice is heard. So,
Absolutely.
another way to make sure that your voice is heard is through storytelling because
Yeah.
everybody's story 100% matters. I know that I have been blessed this past year being able to use the media team and being on CBS News
Yes.
and which was insane.
Bravo.
I know. It was one of those situations, though, just a sidebar of I did that, and then my daughter came home from school, and I told her about it because I was very excited and very proud. And she goes, I got to sing about rainbows today. So,
Kids are very humbling. I
yes,
find
they
I
are.
find being a mother to be a daily humbling
Yes. So
experience.
that was like the bring it, like you were on a high and brought it back
Yeah.
to reality. But everybody's story matters. And the ARC has some amazing toolkits that can help you with almost any topic. But their newest one is storytelling. Do you want to tell a little bit about that?
Yes, it would be my pleasure. So, Lindsay, as you said,
Hmm.
um, we don't at the ARC and our network, we don't have a ton of money, right? We can't
Right.
like we don't donate to candidates. We don't even have a ton of staff, quite frankly, right?
Right.
At the ARC of Ohio or the ARC of US. But what we do have is real people.
Yes.
We both at the ARC of Ohio and the ARC of the United States, we are representing hundreds, thousands, millions of people with
Hmm.
disabilities and their families. And so the most powerful thing that we have is personal stories about how a policy issue impacts a real person.
Yes.
We talk about this all the time, like, saying there's going to be nearly $1 trillion in, or trillion dollars. I don't know. I'm bad with numbers. I'm an
Same.
advocacy girl. In cuts to Medicaid, like what does that actually mean, right? Like how does that impact a family or how does
Right.
that impact a real person? But if you
Hmm.
can sit down and say like this will happen to me. I won't be able to go to work. I won't be able to go to school, or my family member won't be able to do X, Y, and Z. That is so much more powerful. And we know that those stories make things real for legislators. They make things real for the media. They bring more people kind of like into our movement, into our
Hmm.
issues. So if they're hearing your story on NBC News or understanding kind of like, oh wait,
Yeah.
this is what it means when people talk about disability and Medicaid. It's a totally different thing.
Yes.
Um, so we want to make sure that people, that advocates have what they need to effectively tell your story
Hmm.
because it's not just a matter of like chatting, right? And like you could
No.
be a really good speaker, but it needs to be a little bit tighter than that, right? You
Hmm.
need a beginning, a middle, an end, and an ask. This isn't
Yes.
this isn't your life story. This isn't every policy issue that you want to work on or
Hmm.
everything you care about. So we have a story toolkit that is designed for people with disabilities, for families. It's in plain language. It's like we try to really make it as simple for anybody to understand and utilize. We have, and we'll make sure there's a link to it. We have like different kind of worksheets on it that you can work through and brainstorm either with yourself or with someone else to kind of figure out what do you actually want to say? Like, what's the main point? Um, and this is a great thing if you're a new advocate or, someone who's just getting into it, or even if you're advanced, but maybe working on a new issue to kind of think
Hmm.
about like, what do I really want to talk about? What do I want either the media, this legislator, this rally, this blog post to kind of what's the point I want to make and have people come away with? So we will make sure that you all have a link to that great resource.
Yes, it is a great resource. I've used it a couple of times because I very much go off on a tangent and feel like you need to tell a specific side to the story. I have a 10-step program before I get to the punchline, and it has definitely wheeled it in for me to be able to like reach out to
Yeah.
legislators and
Well,
not,
our lives are complicated,
well,
right?
yeah, it's
We have a lot to
chaos.
say. There's a lot going on. Disability is
Mhm.
complicated. So I do think that a guide like this can help keep it focused. Because,
Oh, definitely.
I mean, in Ohio, but when you're meeting with legislators, this might be like a standing outside their office, 7-minute meeting with a staff member. You barely have time for introductions. You got to get to the point.
Right, right. And you have to hand them that one pager really quick and be like, this is why I'm here. My family is more than a number that you're willing to cut. So, and things like that. So, yes, it's the perfect toolkit. And if you are an Arc of Ohio listener and you have questions about that toolkit, Claire, I will have Claire's info, but you can also reach out to me and I will try and help you get your story out because I am a firm believer that everybody's story should be heard. And we're only touching the tip of the iceberg on the stories that could be told.
Absolutely. Can I make one more pitch about storytelling
Of
here?
course, please do.
Um, so Jenny Alexander at the Arc of the United States,
Uh-huh.
she leads all of our storytelling work. And for any listeners out there, if you have a group of self-advocates or parents or anything like that, she would be happy to. She's in DC, but she would be happy to zoom in and do a training if that would be useful. So we can make sure that Jenny's info is included as well.
Yes, yes. I will definitely be reaching out to Jenny and maybe we can put a Zoom together for the state of Ohio to do a storytelling
Excellent.
webinar. So, which brings me to my next awesome question for you. Webinars. You guys offer some
Yeah.
amazing webinars. Do you have
Yeah.
any good ones coming up in the new year?
One of the big things that we're going to be focused on in the new year, for chapters, we're going to be doing a kind of like advocacy kickoff in the end of
Mm-hmm.
January. Date is to be determined, TBD, but you guys will definitely hear about it. But we want to hear from Katie Neese, our CEO, from
Mm-hmm.
Julie Ward, our Senior Executive Officer of Policy, and myself, kind of laying out what do we think is going to happen in 2020. I mean, nobody has a crystal ball, and certainly 2025 had some more surprises, things come up than we could have even anticipated, quite
Yes.
frankly. Um, and so but there are some things that we know to expect. One of the big things that we know is coming up in 2026 that we are all kind of going to be working together on is making sure that people with disabilities, their families, our chapters have the information that they need to get their communities involved in elections, right?
Yes.
We want to make sure that people have the access, the info, to cast their ballot, and that candidates know and are informed about the issues that are important to people with disabilities. And that is
Mm-hmm.
a completely appropriate thing. That's for a nonprofit to be doing. It is our job to get our communities engaged in this way. It's not
Yes.
partisan, it's not political, it's just good civic engagement.
Yes, it is. And voting is so important. And you might not think that your vote matters, but it totally does, especially with this midterm coming up.
Absolutely.
So, and then, lastly, let's talk about the DPS and convention. I am so excited for it.
Yes.
I'm so pumped.
Yes. So we have at the Arc, we have two big meetings a year. These are in-person meetings. One is the Disability Policy Seminar. It is in Washington, D.C. every year. And this year it's going to be March 23rd to 25th, and it's going to be 2 days long. It's a little shorter this year because we're trying to make it a little bit more economical for people to come. So you don't have to do as many nights in a hotel. We want to like really tighten it. So it's going to be one day. This is something that we do with several other disability organizations. So it's like a cross disability thing. It's a really great event. Um, the first day is going to be trainings, right? Like the latest on Medicaid, education, Social Security, like what is happening? What do we need to know? Hearing from like the experts. And then the second day, which I think is the most fun,
Yes.
is when we go to Capitol Hill. So everyone's gonna like
Mhm.
leave the hotel, get up to Capitol Hill, which is just a few blocks away, and most important part of that day is meeting with your members of Congress face to face.
Yes. And it's
Um,
so fun to meet with your members of Congress. So,
yeah, where they are every day.
yes.
Exactly. They love meeting with constituents from back home. Like they love that people have
Hmm.
traveled there. And so there's normally a lot of meetings set up. There's a lot of buzz because typically we have like 900 people from the Disability Policy Seminar on the Hill. So one thing that we've also been doing the last couple of years is some kind of a rally, like to get media attention. We have members of Congress speak at it, but just like something to anchor the day so people know, like, people with disabilities are on the hill, the ARC is on the hill, partner organizations are on the hill. Here's what we care about. Here's what we're doing today.
Hmm.
So we are planning on doing that again this year. So, that's something that a lot of people can come to if they don't have a meeting at that exact time. But the number one priority is your Hill meetings.
Yes, yes. And they're so fun. And you also can slide out at any time and go to a Hill meeting. I remember my first year, there were a couple of people who were leaving like in the middle of the day on an off day just to go
Yes,
because that was when their person could meet. So
you got to do what you got to do.
yeah, and it's so much fun and so worth it for the networking. And I know that sometimes it's not feasible for people to go, and that is completely and totally understandable. So Claire has agreed to come back in April and we will do a full
Yes,
rundown of
yes,
everything that happened at the
a
DPS. I
debrief.
mean, it'll probably be sidebar conversations of funny, awkward things that could have happened that went wrong or all kinds of stuff. So it should be a great time. I'm so excited.
Yes. Yes, I'm looking forward to it as well. And yeah, we understand that that's not something that people can always go to. But we want to make folks aware of it and aware that we're trying to get the cost down so more people can attend by just having
Mhm.
it 2 days.
Yep, I love that for this year. So, well, thank you so much, Claire, for taking the time. We will have all of Claire's info and all the things for the storytelling kits and reaching out to Jenny Alexander
Yes.
for more info. So,
Lindsay, can I give one more shout out?
of course,
Um,
always.
we are on all of the social medias. All like name a social media, the Arc of the United States is on there. And I really recommend that if you're not already, like whatever platforms that you utilize, to follow us because that is where you're going to get the most up-to-date information. Like that
Mhm.
is where you're going to find out like what exactly is happening, see our press releases, see our action alerts, understand our other programs. So I can make sure you have those links too, Lindsay.
Yes, yes,
Um,
definitely do. So we can put it all together for everyone to reach out to. And as always, if you have any questions, please reach out to me or Claire. You will have her info, and we will be more than happy to help you get what you need in order to reach out to everybody to tell your story. So, thanks so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Lindsay. Thanks, Ohio.